Hello, everybody. This is Wise here from Save Max Superstars Real Estate. Today, I have our guest from Rent, Live, Own, Jason Tesser. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Welcome. I'm doing great. And how about you?
Great. So, our audience is super excited to learn about this program, Rent, Live, and Own. It's a great way, I feel that, for home ownership. Initially, I used to see rent to own as a scam.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Right? So I had not met any person who had taken a rent to own program and eventually own the home, right?
Yeah.
So can you educate us about your company first, just a little bit of introduction, and then we can dive into the program itself.
Excellent. No, I would be happy to. So basically, this is for you if you want to own a home and you don't want to be a renter for life. My name's Jason. I'm from Rent, Live, Own, and we specialize in rent-to-owns. 92% success rate, over 80 plus deals all across Canada. And the most important part that you need to know is that the focus is on you as the tenant buyer. Right? So where most programs are designed for the investor in mind, our program is designed for you. And these, what we go through is we call it the steps to home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. So would you like me to just jump in and share my things, or do you have specific questions you want me to answer for your audience?
Yeah, I think there will be questions like, let's hear it from you, and then we will ask the questions. And as people join in as well, they will have more questions as well.
Excellent. And by all means, jump in and interrupt me anywhere if you'd like.
Sure.
Just want to make sure, is my screen sharing okay?
Let me just cross check.
Perfect. Because there's a couple of things you need to know.
Yeah.
Right? And if you get nothing else out of this call, it's how to protect yourself from the scams.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because like you said, there are a lot of scams out there. It's like the wild, wild west sometimes. The first key is that if you're in a scenario where you need a rent to own, typically it's because the bank won't approve you, or you're sick and tired of paying someone else's mortgage. Maybe you're in that position where you have to move.
Yeah.
Or you're just sick and tired of being stuck renting. So where you consider a rent to own is if you're in a scenario where the bank has said no, but you also want the freedom to paint a wall. Right? That's where a rent to own can have an advantage. Another advantage is if you want to build equity in your home while you're renting. Mm-hmm. It actually gives you that ability to build the equity and stability for your family. Not to mention the fact that you get to own it yourself. But like I said, if you get nothing else out of it, if you get one piece, like make sure the guy beside you is awake, poke him in the side or something. The best thing you can do, whether it's a rent to own, traditional mortgage, anything real estate related, is to work with experts like yourself. Like obviously, you know your market ways, you know what you're doing. You have years of experience, guidance. That wrong information can cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I just actually had a client and he was all proud because he did his home privately. And he sold it about 60,000 under market.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All because he wanted to save a few bucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing I always say is no matter who you're looking at, check reviews. Right? Go and check those reviews. Google My Business, Facebook, Better Business Bureau of Canada, all great ways to check those reviews and get those 4 or 5 star reviews. Right? Now, the next question you want to ask is how do you do it?
Yeah.
Actually, I'd actually say there's one question before that. What's your success rate?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I said, we have a 92% success rate. And if you're going to know if anybody's any good, it's not how many people they put into the program. It's how many people they got out of the program.
Exactly. So when we say got out of the program, they were actually homeowners.
You got it.
Yeah.
Right? They actually, because if you were to look at a rent to own and say, why would I do a rent to own? There's only a couple of reasons. And the main one, I already covered them, right? Is to build equity in the home and build towards your own home, not someone else's mortgage.
Yeah.
right? And what a rent to own does is it allows you to do it sooner, typically 2, 3, 4 years sooner, right? So there's three steps to a rent to own. The first is looking at where you are today. The second is looking at the future. Where could you be? And the third, that's where the rent to own comes in, is what are the steps to get you there? If they can get you into a traditional mortgage now, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the game than if you wait 2, 3, 4 years.
Of course, yeah.
Right. Best example I have, and you know the market better than I do in your area. What was the average purchase price of homes in your market 3 years ago?
Yeah, probably around 550.
What is it now?
More like 850.
So 550 to 850. Wow. So a $300,000 difference, almost $100,000 a year.
Yes. Yeah.
So if we put this in English that everybody, it's almost like a no-brainer for them.
Yeah.
Is if you decided 3 years ago you almost bought a home and decided to wait, you're now paying $300,000 extra for that very same home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Plus, we haven't even discussed what you paid in rent for someone else's mortgage.
Yes.
Right. So that's the part that people don't have a hard time wrapping their head around. Is they see a rent to own and they've got all these concerns and they've got all their fears, but what no one's asking is what happens if you don't take that step.
Right.
Right.
If you don't take the step, you are going to be, I guess, a renter for life. I call it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know I got into this. We've been doing this for about 5 years now. Like I said, we have 80 plus deals all across Canada, everywhere but Quebec. And I don't think we have any in Vancouver or BC. I think it's just an overpriced market.
Yeah.
But everywhere else in Canada, we have properties. And one of the things that touches me over and over and over again is the clients who, how do I put it? This is their last chance.
Yeah.
Right? On average, and you've seen this yourself, most Canadians takes 2 years to get into position to own a home today.
Yes.
Unless you have a really amazing job or you have some support from your family or there's some, maybe there's an inheritance or something. Most Canadians, they don't just wake up and say, I'm going to go buy a home.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's just not really a thing. So
it's almost Jason, it's almost that some of the Canadians are feeling that they can never buy a home. Like they're not even trying.
Yeah. Especially the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even, the idea of it's just not an option.
They can't conceive home ownership, and they have in most cases seen their parents be a renter, right? Maybe even their grandparents were renters, so they don't understand the concept of home ownership and the advantages of home ownership, right? Okay, I guess I don't want to take away from your presentation, so let's dive into it.
No problem. So I'm glad you said that. Like, why are people in that mindset of rental versus home ownership? And one of the things that we've got to pop the bubble on is the understanding of what it really costs you to wait or to not make that a priority. Right. So if you look at a graph, actually I'll do this in properly. Make it nice and big, and let's use blue. Okay. So you got a graph here, and let's say this was the housing market. So MRK for short. And this represented time. Well, the market over time kind of looks like the stock exchange, right? Got your ups, you have your downs, lots of flexibility. Maybe it had a little bit of stabilization. We had some craziness. We had drops, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
Right? If this represented your income, typically the graph for income looks more like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You might have gotten a raise.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you got another raise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The risk that people have, and the reason why a rent to own is a fit, is because the renter for life that you talked about is at risk right here.
Mm-hmm.
Or put another way, the risk of you being priced out of the market comes from the time that your approval no longer is high enough to purchase.
Yeah.
Right. And so what happens to a lot of people is they don't realize that, like we talked about, that 550 purchase to 850 a purchase
Mm-hmm.
can be as drastic as that.
Mm-hmm.
They just assume that next year will be roughly the same.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we've done, if you were to take a traditional mortgage today, and we're to also look at the future. So this represents today and future. A traditional mortgage today is where we start. What does it take to get approved?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 3 criterias. Income. Now this is based on your household income. Household income is your income before tax, your spouse or partner before tax,
Mm-hmm.
childcare benefits, alimony payments, either add to or away from,
Yeah.
and if you have a side hustle, providing you claim taxes and do
Mm-hmm.
it properly, right? That's your income.
Mm-hmm.
The general rule of thumb for your approval is income times 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you probably heard that. General rule
Yeah.
is times 4,
Yeah.
times 5.
Yeah.
Right now it's times 4. And so if you make 100 grand a year between you and your partner, I'm sorry to say, you're looking at a $400,000 approval. But that's not exact. I'm not a mortgage broker. I am a guy who helps people get into mortgages all day, every day, 4 or 5 properties a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you have $100,000, you're looking at about $400,000 approval. If you're looking at over a $500,000 approval, the number comes to it's more closer to the 5 range.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So income is one side, down payment is the other. Right? And you've probably heard the term 5%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was this client, Chantel. She's the perfect example of why you need a rento, like a client who needs a rento.
Yeah.
She's a grandmother. Her husband both had great paying jobs, 3
Mm-hmm.
grandkids. For whatever reason, they are now responsible for the grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, they started overpaying. Right? They started spending more than they made.
Yeah.
Right? They owned a property already. And for whatever reason, they had the kids. They wanted to help them. And it was putting them into financial strain. So they caught it early, made the right choice, sold their house, bought another property for less cost, downsized a bit, were able to get rid of some debts and get the financials in line.
Mm.
The problem is, have you ever heard the horror story of a client who has the down payment, but no one told them to save their closing costs?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here they are. They took all the profits from their property, paid off their debts, took the remaining, put it on the down payment for the house, and didn't have the closing costs. So for those of you who are watching this going, what is that?
Yeah.
It's like legal fees,
Yeah.
land transfer tax.
Approximately, you have to keep around 2%, 1.5 to 2% of the cost.
You got it.
Of the house, yeah.
So let's say a $500,000 home, even though that's not exactly realistic these days.
Mm.
On a $500,000 home, that's an extra 10 grand
Okay, yeah.
that you have to have in your back pocket
Mm-hmm.
after you've already paid all your money for your down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the couple who didn't have it. No one told them. Bad piece of advice. Their realtor screwed them. He was brand new and didn't know what he was doing. Right? This is the first property ever, never told them. And said, oh, don't worry about it. Just go no conditions.
Ouch.
Yeah. And the mortgage broker forgot to mention it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. Like the first thing you do is get an expert. Like you guys, what you do, I know you're a team. You do this all day, every day, constantly analyzing. It's not like you're not going Friday to your day job, are you? To like as a server or something?
Yeah. No.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it matters.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, so down payment, not only is there the down payment, which is 5 to 20% plus 2% for closing. And the third piece is your credit. Right. Now, as the general rule of thumb, I won't go too far into this. If you have more questions, we can have a whole other call just on credit counseling because that's a big part of what we do. Credit 680.
Mm.
right? Your credit, the score you're aiming for, general rule of thumb, 680, right? Now, you know as well as I do, there's different variations to that. Any questions on that so far?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, all good, on track.
Good. So where does the rent to own come in? The rent to own, pardon the bad drawings, if this is you, that's as good as I get, right? And the goal is to get to the home. The bridge that gets you there is a rent to own. And then what a rent to own does is allows you to get into the home 2, 3, 4 years earlier than a traditional mortgage. If it's less than 2 years for you to get a traditional mortgage, to be honest, I'm probably going to recommend a different option for you. Right? If you need at least 2 years, a rent to own's an option. So what does it take to qualify? So income, same thing, right? So income is now or future income, meaning a bank needs to look at your 2 years of your past. We look at today looking forward. So if you got a new job at a better income, we can use today's income. Right? If you have, if you're in the union, you got guaranteed contracts or raises, we can take that into account. If you're just finishing school and you're going from part-time to full-time, in some cases, we can take that into account. Right? So for rent to own qualification.
In the sense that if you're improving yourself, if you're improving your skill set, and we can foresee that your future income is going to be better, then you are in, basically.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Now, we won't take chances, so you have to be able to prove it. You have to see it. Right? Because otherwise, we're setting you up for failure, and that's not how we have a 92% success rate.
Yeah.
Right? So one is now a future, and I love how you say it, if you're improving yourself. Down payment is 4%. You can do higher if you'd like, and in some cases, I would recommend it. But to get into the game, because this is a game, right? Like let's be honest, the banking system has a whole set of rules they never tell us about.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it might be a joke, but we'll let everybody decide for themselves. So in a rent to own, it's 4% down.
Okay.
And the reason being is because the rest of the program, you actually save, or the rest of the down payment, you save in the program itself. Right. So if you need 5% plus 2% closing costs, we take 4% now, 3% in the program.
Got it.
If you need 10%, 4% now, 6% in the program.
Yeah. So basically, if somebody says, okay, I want to, put in 20%, so that 16% is going to come from their savings as a down payment through the program.
Correct. Okay. Correct. Now, it can be. Now, if you have a higher down payment and you want to put it down now to lower your monthly, you can do that as well. We have a lot of flexibility. And that's one of the advantages, too, because the types of clients we help are those who don't have a full down payment yet.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're new to Canada and they don't have the personal residency card. Because I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do, that there's like a 25% tax.
Yeah.
If you're not a Canadian resident.
Yeah.
Well, if you're working on your residency card for the future, we can still buy you the home today and you not do the 25% tax.
Perfect. Because so technically, tell me about this. So technically, they don't own the house until that 4 or 5 year period, correct?
Correct. And that's actually the advantage.
Yeah. Who owns the house?
The investor. So you would typically how this would normally work is you'd go to the bank, right? You'd go to the bank and the bank would buy the mortgage and you'd put 5 to 20% down and they would buy the house for you.
Yes.
Yeah. What we're doing is you're going to the investor.
Yeah.
We'll set it all up. Yeah. You're putting 4% down. The investor's going to the bank. They are putting 20% down, so you don't have homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
To save you that money.
Yeah.
They're going to hold the mortgage. They're going to buy the house for you.
Got it.
But even though you're not on title, they can't raise your rent. They can't kick you out. They can't change the terms of the agreement
Yeah.
and they can't sell the house to anybody but you.
Yeah.
That's a key.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, you had a question there?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to stress that because even though you don't technically own the home, you
Mm-hmm.
do have an agreement of purchase and sale for that future date.
Yeah.
And a big part of what allows us to protect you
Mm-hmm.
is just that. Like you have a tenant lease, you have an agreement of sale. You have a legal binding contract buying that property, and it's locked in. You have an option to purchase agreement that outlines all the terms of the agreement,
Mm-hmm.
plus a few other contracts that keep you protected, as well as the investor as well.
Yeah.
Right. And then the only other piece we hadn't talked about was credit.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why someone might come to us is either they don't have a high enough down payment, they are not a Canadian citizen yet, or their credit's not high enough.
Mm-hmm.
And credit just needs to be fixable.
That's fixable, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
can guide them through how to fix the credit.
We could do an hour call just on credit.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. We won't do it right now, but
We'll plan for next month. Next month.
Yeah.
How to improve your credit.
Yeah. Oh, and it's amazing because there's 5 things that affect your credit that most people don't know. And unfortunately, you would think common sense would play a factor, but if you follow common sense, you're probably hurting your credit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that's it's incredible how often I see that. It's like, well, I'm doing it so I don't overspend and that I keep my budget in control. It's like, you're hurting your credit.
You're not building credit. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. In some cases, you're not building it. You're destroying it.
Destroying it. You're hurting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like maxing out your card and paying it off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't help your credit that much,
Right.
if at all. Right. So the only piece that we can't do with a credit is if you've had a bankruptcy, it must, like, a bank will take 7 years before they'll touch you. For us, it's 4.
Mm-hmm.
3 years early.
Mm-hmm.
Consumer proposal needs to be discharged. 3 years for the bank to touch you.
Mm-hmm.
For us, you just need to be discharging.
That's discharged, and you can do rent to own. Okay.
Even if you're discharging like in a few months, we can still help.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The bridge represents 2 to 5 years. So as long as we can get you into that traditional mortgage in the next 2 to 5 years, a rent own makes sense now.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't know what I mean, look at the cost rising of prices plus how much you're paying for rent. Like you're paying $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year, almost $100,000 at 3 years.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a rent to own in a nutshell. Now, there's lots of other questions around this, but I also want to respect time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any specific questions on this?
Yes. So, can a person look the property up on MLS, and me as a realtor, can I show them the property, and then we bring the property to you, and then would you qualify the property, saying that yes, our investors think that this is a viable property for rent to own?
Great question, and you're pretty close. So you, the tenant buyer, that's a rent-own client. You're a tenant, but you're becoming the buyer. We qualify you as a tenant buyer first.
Mm-hmm.
And so the big part of what we do is we use experts. So we bring you in, we qualify you, we introduce you to our mortgage broker, who is going to assess your file for the future.
Got it.
Right? From the future, we're going to work backwards to come up with a plan of action to get you there based on where you are today. So that you have the steps you need to take to actually get you there.
Got it.
Once we have, and we do this absolutely for free. There's no cost to you. Right? We spend, like, the broker spends like 6 hours assessing this thing. Assuming I can pre-approve you, that is. Right? And then we're going to create the plan of action. Once we have the plan of action, then we get the facts. And then we get the numbers for your approval amount, what the monthly cost will be, what your down payment savings needs to be, etc. Because your rent is the cost of the mortgage, insurance, property tax, and the closing costs spread over the length of the program.
Got it.
So it's $200-300 more than what your typical mortgage would be plus your insurance and property tax.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's pretty much the same cost, but closing costs is spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And the investors out there like it because it's interest-free spread out over the program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Once we have that in place, we can then match you with an investor and put you with a realtor.
Okay.
Because what we want to do for you is we don't want you showing someone the house of their dreams and then find out we still have to get financing.
Got it. So
right?
we get the tenant buyer pre-approved through your process, right?
Correct.
And just for the viewers, I will be sharing the link. You can go through the link and see if you pre-qualify, and that information will go to Jason, and Jason will set up a call with you, and he will basically see if you're eligible for this rent to own program.
Yeah, and if you're interested, because there's 5 steps to this.
Sure.
Like I said, rent to own is the bridge to the home ownership. And really what you have is you just have a choice. Do you want to be a homeowner or not? It's not whether you work with a rent to own company or not. I've told many people, and I'll say it before, I'll say it again. If you can take advantage of our free action plan, it's worth like $1,500. Take advantage of it. I don't care if you use us. I'm okay with that. If it helps you get into a home, use us. Right? Just make the decision. Do you want to get into a home or not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you do, we can help you find out some options. We will always go for a traditional mortgage first. We use experts. We use mortgage brokers who are skilled at qualifying you for traditional and can qualify you for rent to own. Not every mortgage broker can. Most can't.
Got it.
Right? We
So if
connect with the team.
any of the mortgage brokers are listening, they can connect with you, and
100%.
you can qualify them for the program as well, just like as you are doing me as a realtor. So
You got
they
it.
can do the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, and it's quite easy if you understand how. Like I have some mortgage brokers. My favorite mortgage broker is the mortgage broker who cares about the client first, right? Not about the commission. Commissions are good. We all deserve to be paid for our work.
Yes. Yeah.
Client first focused. Right. And I'll just skip ahead here because this is just a couple pieces. But if you have your phone, if you want to find out your options, like the link that you sent that you're going to put down below, that works. Or pull out your phone, double click the button on the side.
Yep.
It'll open your camera.
Yep.
Right. Scan it. Just put it on the QR code. It'll pop up a link. And just click on it. And don't worry, we'll know you came from this call.
Yep.
It'll give you a form, and it'll just take a couple minutes. Fill it out. There's no obligation. There's no pressure. There's none of that. You can't buy. We're not selling at this point. It's just about getting the facts.
Yeah.
Right? And that will go to your. That'll go to the link so that we know.
On my phone, right there.
Perfect.
Right.
Right. And then it just gives you the facts and allows you to get some options. Because I'd say the biggest mistake a lot of people make is one, obviously they don't even try. But the bigger mistake, I think, is people get a lot of misinformation out there.
Yep.
Right? Like, how many times have you talked to Uncle Bob who bought a home 20 years ago and he's the one guiding you? No. Go talk to go talk to the expert.
Yeah. And
Uncle
Bob is a renter himself.
Yeah. Well, back in my day.
Yes, exactly. Back in your day, right? So that's the challenge, right? People look for information in the wrong place with the wrong people, right? So that's the reason why we bring experts to this show, where people can actually reach out to experts and be coached and guided and succeed in their goals, right? So for all the listeners out there, if you are listening and you are a renter, or you know of a renter, you can definitely refer to the QR code that was just placed sometime before, or I will be sharing a link in the Facebook comments as well, so that you can reach out and find out if you qualify. And then if you qualify, you can reach out to me. Once you get it pre-approved, then we can look at properties on the MLS and make you a homeowner and set you up for plan for home ownership, right?
Yeah, that's 100% it. And it's, you know, like I've already stressed a couple of times, the risk of not owning a home. Think about this from this scenario. You're 65 years old, you want to retire, and you get a notice that you're being kicked out of your home because someone wants to sell it or
Mm-hmm.
move in or insert reason here.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that rent has just gone up 500, $600 a month.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, it's a basic right to all Canadians. I won't go down the road of whether it's fair, because it's definitely not a fair system right now. And a lot of people, more people are at risk of being renters for life than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I've seen is those who are determined to achieve it find a way. Those who are not,
yeah,
renter
are
for
on the
life.
sidelines. So one more question I have, Jason, for you. How about people who are retired or semi-retired? They have fixed incomes coming in, right? They are renting currently, and what if they want to use your program? Will they qualify? Because their future income is going to be probably the same, or if adjusted to inflation, right?
Yeah, that it's a challenging one because it's a case by case scenario. So our program, if I can get you a traditional mortgage at the end of the program within the next 2 to 5 years, we'll put you in the program now.
Got it.
So it's going to come down to what are the majority of lenders' requirements for that retirement income. Where is it coming from? What's the fine print? Right. So as long as a bank would say yes to you now, assuming your credit was in a good position or you had the down payment already, or whatever the thing that is that's stopping the bank from saying yes can be repaired, then we can say yes now. The same thing goes like with new immigrants to Canada, is they have all kinds of cash, but because it's not in Canada, they get disqualified. Or you get a new job, but it's new, so you're disqualified. Or your credit is off by 5 points. That's happened to a client recently. Now, luckily, we just took him to a better broker who got him approved. Didn't even need a rent owner. It's like, you're off by 5 points. Here, let me introduce you to this guy. Right.
Interesting. So when we actually, let's say, hypothetically speaking, a couple comes to you, you pre-qualify, we show them the home, right? And when we are, as a realtor, when I'm putting the offer, I'm putting the offer on their behalf, but for your investor. Is that right?
Yes. So you're going to work with the tenant buyer. You, as a tenant buyer, it's your home. You get the freedom to paint the walls. You get the ability to negotiate the price, which is why you want an expert advising you on the market. What is the strategy they're trying here? How do I get a good deal? How do I get the price that's fair for me? And you're going to work with the tenant buyer. Right? When you make the offer, the only difference is I'm going to be there to support. So is my team. So you're getting experience from guys who buy 4 or 5 properties a month.
Yeah.
There's knowledge there.
Yeah.
Right. And when you send the contracts, we're going to sign it, not the tenant buyer. That's it.
Perfect.
Right. But it's still, the tenant buyer is still the client. They still get all the say.
Got it.
Right.
Another question that I have is, what price is the tenant buyer going to be buying the property at the end of the term?
Perfect. So if mind if I share my screen quickly?
Sure, yeah.
All right. So there are 3 costs when it comes to a rent to own. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me just go to the right window, get my pretty pictures back up. I go to my 5-year-old, see if he can teach me how to draw better. I think he can do a better stick man than me. So when there's the program, there's the, like I said, the today, there's monthly. That's why you're in the program. And there's future.
Yep.
So what you're going to do is you're going to purchase a property. What's a number?
Say 650.
650. Can we make it even? I'll just round it up to 6. I'll just do 600.
Sure, 600. Yeah.
Easier math in my head.
Yeah.
So 600K. Right. Well, on that, there's closing costs. We're going to cover all those. You'll cover the inspection and the appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
The monthly is going your so-called hypothetical rent is the mortgage, insurance, and property tax.
Yeah.
Plus closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, that's going to equal rent.
Mm-hmm.
You also have what's called a down payment. So I'll just put down pay, which is 4% plus, here's the formula.
Yeah.
If this is, say, 36 months, and it's X times 36.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4% plus your monthly payments equals your down payment.
Got it.
Okay. Now, as you can see, the investor makes no money here.
Mm-hmm.
They make no money here. Every penny of your down payment goes back to you.
Yeah.
Where the investor makes money, and the
Mhm.
only spot they make money
Mhm.
is in the question you asked.
Yeah.
So if this was a 3-year deal,
Mhm.
how the program works is it's a fixed appreciation
Yeah.
at 5%.
Okay.
So if it was a 3-year deal, you're looking at approximately $30,000 a year.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you'd be looking at approximately $690,000.
Got it. Yeah.
Now everybody just had a heart attack there
Yeah.
and saw a $90,000 cost of the program.
Yeah.
But what you're forgetting,
you need to also look at the market, and the market might be at 900,000, and you're just getting this at 690.
yeah,
Right.
and that's exactly it.
Yeah.
If it historically goes up 5% a year minimum, what was last year's? What was the increase over the last 2 years?
I mean, they have been increases like about 8 to 10% conservatively, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, this was a little bit of a recession time, so the prices have gone down. But we don't think that this is going to happen in the future, right?
No. All the experts I'm here, experts,
Yeah.
without a crystal ball, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
The moment they start reducing interest rates,
Yeah.
everybody's just on the, and I see this with my investors.
Yeah.
They're all nervous right now, but they're
Yeah.
all getting antsy. The moment interest rates come down a little bit, they're buying.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the thing that we always do a fixed 5%.
Mhm.
Because historically your home goes up by 5%. If you don't know what, if it's too much techie side, ask your parents what they paid for their
I mean,
house.
in the
Ask your grandparents.
GTA, it goes about 8 to 10% anyways, right? In the
Sure.
GTA, 8 to 10% anyways. So even if you're paying 5% appreciation, right, you are still making money like 3 to 5% on this program, right? You're
And
not
if
losing
you have
money,
to wait,
but you're making money. Yeah.
right? If you have to wait, you're paying it anyways or more.
And guess what, Jason? And if it's a hot market, people are bidding over the market price. So
I know.
in 3 years from now, if the market is really hot and you're forced to bid, so you could outbid get outbid by 100 or 150 or sometimes even $200,000, right? So it's not only the market, that's going up, but also you have to see that in which market you will be buying, right?
Yeah, I would agree. And I was just quickly doing the numbers because you said 3 years ago average purchase price was 550.
Yeah.
So at 5%, that's 27.5 a year. So 82,000. So the people who are buying houses from us 3 years ago at
Yeah.
550 are buying it back at 632.
Yeah.
What did you say it's worth right now?
Such a deal. That is such a deal. It's right now about 800,000.
Yeah. Now, will that happen every 3 years? Probably not.
We don't know.
But the idea, if it goes down, I'll tell you right now, because that's another thought in people's heads. What if the price goes down?
Yes.
Then everybody's going to lose money. So it's not in our best interest to sell. So we do an extension.
Yeah.
We lock in the purchase price. We lock in the deposit. Look, if you're still renting 3 years from now and you're paying $3,000 a month, if you're lucky, $36,000 a year, almost $100,000 or just over $100,000 in 3 years, the 100 grand's gone. This way, that 10% or like what is 10% on 600,000,
Yeah.
60 some odd $1,000 locked in and protected.
Mm-hmm.
Your purchase price locked in
Yeah.
and protected.
Yeah.
Right. So you can wait 3 years and continue to rent and take the gamble,
Mm-hmm.
or you can lock it in. And if you're handy, let's say you have the skills to put in a new kitchen, or
Yeah.
you're like my wife, you're a keyboard warrior, and you start searching online for all those grants. I don't have it. I used to keep it beside me. I have a $7,000 check from Enbridge.
Wow.
When was the last time your gas company gave you $7,000?
Wow.
Right. My wife just went searching grants.
Yeah.
Got windows. It cost me $150 a window.
Yeah.
Because the government paid for the rest.
Nice. Yeah.
Right. Kind of crazy. Now, it seems like I'm having a little bit of a tech challenge. If I say so, ways.
Yeah.
For some reason, my call just disconnected.
Okay. No worries. We'll wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And hi, Jason.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Not sure what happened there.
Okay. So should we just wrap it up then?
Yep.
Okay. So, Jason, thanks again for joining us. And this has been great information. Again, if you can bring up that screen, yes, thank you. So this is very important. So take out your phone, scan this, and then send Jason your application. He will review it, and once you're approved, we can start house hunting for you.
Yeah.
Anything
and if
else?
you're on your phone, you're going to drop the link in the comment box, right?
Yes, I'll do that. Yeah.
For those who are sitting on the toilet watching this.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. And if you have any questions, just know, take advantage of us, use our knowledge, use our experience. We're here to help. A rent to own is not for everybody. It's for a very specific group. But if it's for you, great. Let's help you. If it's not for you, take advantage of our knowledge and information. We are more than happy to help. Education and financial literacy is a massive part of our success rate, and we share that with anyone and everyone. No problem. Excellent. Happy to do it. Bye.